Hello, my name is Jack Blade, and welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. Today we're talking about 10 plus tips for absolute beginners to master Satisfactory 1.0. And with that said, we will get into it pretty immediately because we have a lot to talk about. When you start the game and you go through the tutorial, you end up building the hub. That's a pretty simple thing, just follow the instructions. But once you have finished it, it can very easily become overwhelming quickly, because suddenly you have two tiers with a bunch of stuff that you might not understand what it is or what it does. So what I want to do is very quickly just go through those two first tiers and what they do and what they... Like, this is tip number one. I'm going to be very comprehensive here. Base building lets you place down foundations. Foundations are used to place, build factories on, so that you don't have to place it on the ground, and this allows you to snap and align things in right angles so you can very quickly line up factories instead of having the spaghetti that you probably had when you built your tutorial stuff. With that said, the next thing we have is logistics, which is very, very important because it allows you to create like manifolds using the splitter or load balancers, combining them. You have conveyor lifts, which can lift things vertically, and you can see the efficiency of your buildings. This can give you a good indication, but you should definitely not follow this as if it's law. Field research gives you the map, the object scanner, personal storage box, and some inventory slots. The really, really important part here is the MAM. The MAM lets you unlock things from research that you find around the world. And these are going to be grayed out. They're going to be like a bit of a mystery. But one great example is these power slugs. You will find them all around the world, and when you find them and you collect them, ta-da, like I'm in creative, it's why I can fly. You can go back here, you can go into the power slugs tree, and you can unlock here the ability to create power shards. Once you have that and you find made a power shard, you can then unlock overclocking, where you use the power shards to overclock your machines or underclock them from 0% up to a total of 250% depending on what you want. And you do that by just opening a machine. The next part is in tier 2, part assembly, which is more advanced parts. Well, you have the constructor already, right? But now you're getting a machine that can have two inputs, so you can combine two different parts. For example, screws and metal or iron plates to make reinforced iron plates. Copper sheets, rotors, modular frames, all of them are needed at some point throughout your factory building. Smart plating being the one you use to send your space elevator in the first place. Obstacle clearing gives you the chainsaw, and more importantly, like chainsaw is important, but solid biofuel is even more so. You have learned through doing the tutorial that you have the biomass burner for power. The biomass burner that you can place down has an input where you can place fuel in. And instinctively it's like, yeah, but I don't really care, I just want to build. So you just smash in leaves. You smash in like wood or biomass, because now you can craft that. What you should do is go for solid biofuel as fast as possible. Like a single constructor setup that is just like making some solid biofuel and feeding your biomass burners is the most effective thing you can do early game to get all the fuel you need. With that said, you can get more advanced fuels, you can get more advanced generators and everything, but before you get to coal power, you're locked into solid biofuel being the most effective thing you have for power generation. Jump pads are like literal catapults, and jelly landing pads makes sure that you land without dying. But these can help you very quickly traverse verticality. You can go up and down buildings or cliffs and stuff like that very quickly using the jump pad. The resource sink bonus program is a sink and a shop. So you can place down a sink where you can place in excess items to get points. So when you have points, I can see them here like now, but normally you have like X amount of X like to get in the next ticket, and you get coupons. When you get the coupons, you can go into the awesome shop over here. And in the awesome shop, you can unlock new buildables. Conveyor wall mounts, conveyor ceiling mounts, floor holes, wall mounted power outlets, new pipe versions, hypertube segments, signs, lighting, new boxes. You can unlock customizer stuff. You can unlock different types of foundations and all that kind of stuff. That's what you can find in the awesome shop. This here, along with the MAM, is probably the highest priority unlocks, in my opinion, because it helps you customize and it helps you adapt to your needs very, very quickly. And then Logistics Mark II. This isn't even a priority unlock. This is like, you need to unlock this. Priority is Conveyor Belt Mark II. Normally, a belt can only move 60 items per minute if it is the Mark I belt. 60 resources per minute, which means that if you try to move more than 60 resources per minute on the belt, it will get backed up. And that in sorting systems can cause a problem. By unlocking Conveyor Belt Mark II, you can get a lot more out of your systems. And you can move your resources faster from point A to B. Literally twice as fast. So very, very important unlocks. That's a very simple, tip number 1. This is the longest tip they're going to be in this video. The rest is going to be a lot faster, but now you should have a somewhat decent understanding of the rest of the things that we'll be talking about in the tips here. Tip number 2 is actually the best starter power setup that you can build before you have automated power. So when you start out the game, you get through the tutorial, you will have constructors and you will be able to make biomass. So this is the only place that you would need the Mark II belt with the reinforced iron plates required to build them. Then you have 2 containers setting them up, and you can fill those with leaves. In this case, I'm using leaves for the biomass burner creation. And that creates 60 biomass per machine. Then once again, this biomass is underclocking. By setting this to 30 per minute instead, down here in the underclock or overclocking section, I only need 60 biomass per minute instead of 120, which means this makes 30, and then this makes 30, with 2 completely separate lines. And the reason I've done this is so that we have a minimum need for the belt Mark II, so you don't have to bother with making hundreds of reinforced iron plates to be able to build this setup. And then you have belt Mark Is, they merge up because they can take 60, right? And 60 is the amount we have here. They will go in, they will pass through this container and continue to go through this line. This isn't the most effective setup, but it is definitely going to work. So to kickstart this system, what you do is you just send in some solid biofuel. It will go out. Oh, I haven't connected that up. That's my bad. It will go out here and then split using the splitter. So because I've sent all 3, it will go you can see that it's on a round robin. So it's go right, there, there, right, there, there, right, there, there. So because of this being 60 and there's an even split, that's going to be 20 per minute going down here, 20 per minute, and 20 per minute. Now, you can see as these light up green, that's the system coming on. This is going to take a long time before the system saturates, and you can wait. There's no stress. Once this is up and running, you can click your power pole to see how the network's going, and you can see that it is going up, and you're easily getting a lot more capacity, and the system powers itself. This way, you have a 100% efficient system. If you're running this system at 100% capacity, when the whole thing is going, it gives you 450 megawatts. 450 megawatts, if you're also using 450 megawatts, you will then burn 4 solid biofuel per minute, which like per biomass burner. And there's 15 of them here, meaning you burn 60 per minute. You build 60 per minute, you burn 60 per minute. That's a 100% efficient system. Now, after these have gotten filled up, because like obviously when you start building this, you don't burn 60 per minute. Then this is gonna start backing up. This is gonna start filling up. And if you want to boost it, you can take manual and fill this up manually. So you just go to each biomass burner and place in solid biofuel, so that that was only 3, that wasn't 200. There we go. And I have a full stack in each. What's going to happen is the lines are going to start backing up. When they start backing up, you start getting all the efficiency you want. And if you are running this at 100% capacity and you have no biofuel except a single stack in each, what will happen is you will have 50 minutes of power before it crashes. As you can see, it just backs up and then it starts, like, it keeps sending down the line instead. And instead of doing the round robin thing, it's gonna just go like as if it's just a belt. And gonna go here, and then when this is full, it's gonna continue down the line until every belt is completely filled up, all the way down to the last one. This will keep your power efficient for the beginning. It gives you 450 megawatts to work with, which is a great starting point. So once again, just a quick flyover for the system here. You can see we have the containers where you can place in leaves. Then you have 2 constructors at normal clock speed that does biomass. Gives 60 biomass each, and they are sent in to 2 50% underclocked constructors making solid biofuel that is then merged over here into one line of 60 biomass solid biofuel going in here, and then it continues down this manifold and splits and goes into every single biomass burner. Once saturated, it will store all... No, I don't need you. It will store the rest in here. Okay? Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Early game system, or early game power system. Then you can do this and just set this up with different recipes too. So you have leaves here, but you will have the ability to choose like biomass from wood. When you unlock it, you will be able to do it from protein, like the alien remains. You will be able to do it from mycelia, which is a different like plant matter. It's more like fungus, like mushrooms. And you will be able to make all the stuff you want for the biomass power setup. Let's move on to tip number 3. Tip number 3 has to do with your resource nodes. When you start the game, it's very easy to think, okay, if I just focus on what I have close by, and then I can build like a second base on a different location or whatever it is. Don't bother with that. When you start out and you place down your miners, you have your Mark 1 miners, and if you have resource nodes, even if you're not using them, place down miners on every single one, like this, right? So that you have them marked with miners. You have a limestone node over here. Let's mark that one too. You have another limestone node over here, right? Let's mark that one. Okay? And then, because I happen to know the map, there's a couple of copper nodes over behind this cliff. So what you can do here is I'm just prepped because I know that there's like angry boys around here. But what you can then do is you clear up the nodes so that you can place miners on them. And once you have cleared up the miners or cleared up the nodes, place down miners and then pull all of the resources over to where you want to build. So you don't have to travel around, because that like is it's a bit of a dark number like people don't think about, where using like just running around takes most of the time that you need to move your resources around. So by doing this, right, and then belt Mark 1, And don't care about how things look. Just get your resources home. That is the only goal. Okay? So once you have your resources back at base, like so, it can be whatever it wants. There's the copper. There's the iron, like one of the iron nodes. That's a different iron node. More iron. And then you have even more iron over here. You don't have to care about how things look right now. So we're just doing this. So you have a collection of all your resources. This is more iron. And this is more iron, right? And then you have your limestone over here. Just pull all your limestone all the way home so that you can use it. And you had more and more limestone over here. And then once you've done, because that's also the thing, do one thing at a time. If you're running conveyors, only run conveyors. Don't bother with the power lines until you have done one thing. There we go, and there we go with the second one. Boom. Now you have all the resources at home. Now, and only now, you take power and run power to these things. That's one, and then it's two, and then you run the power over to these miners, and you go boom, and then continue on. Give this power, right? So you will have all the power you need because of the power setup that we talked about in the second tip. And then you will have all the resources that you will need because you did this. This is the best way when you're an absolutely new player to just get going. Because if you start spreading out too much, the running around is what will trip you up rather than focusing on building. And now from here you can go like, okay, my base is gonna be here. I'm gonna build my base like here. Very easy. Can use the chainsaw to get rid of the trees that are in the way. And then I can start building my constructors and everything over here. Okay, let's move on to the next tip. The next tip has to do with exploration. There's a lot of cool stuff out in the world, and it's very important that you find a lot of the stuff because you need it to unlock the really advanced and cool technology that exists in the game. But to explore in the first place, you're gonna need to unlock quartz, and then you have silica, and then blade runners. This is a really, really, really important unlock because it enables you to be able to jump higher and further. So if we go into, I'm just gonna give myself some advanced game settings, give myself some blade runners here, and then give me item. So if you see, this is my running speed, and if I run and then press C to crouch, I slide. If I do that and then jump, I can get like a little bit of a boost forward, right? I get a little bit faster. But as you can see, it's not like that impressive. If I take on the blade runners and I do the same thing, I can jump way higher, run way faster, slide longer, and also I'm not gonna take damage unless it's a pretty high fall. If I fly up and I drop myself from here, no damage. But take this off and I fly up to about the same height. It should be around here, right? Go this. Oh, I still didn't take damage. I did not skip leg day. Either way, when you take damage... Oh. No, wait, I have God mode on. That explains. I'm in creative. I can't die. I can't take damage. Duh. Sorry. But either way, it's not gonna hurt you as much, or it's gonna take higher heights to hurt you. So, really, really important unlock. If you're going to explore, This is so important. Another important unlock, just as a bonus tip, to survive infinite drops, is to unlock the parachute, which is in the mycelia tree. Okay, let's move on to the next tip. Welcome to my Let's Play world. Here we are going to jump over, and I still have flight on as a kind of builder mode over here, so this isn't like a mechanic that's normally in the game. I have unlocked this to make showing off what I've done a lot easier for my viewers. These boys, when you run into these guys in the world, you give them a berry, like so. You just grab it. These guys will eat all my berries now, but if I take it and I place it down, they will go, ooh, awesome, and they will start eating my berries. And when they eat the berry, they get tamed and they start picking up stuff for you. So you can get like very late games items very early on that can help you, including power slugs. And yeah, oh my god, so many purple power slugs. You can get a lot of items that can help you unlock things that you normally wouldn't be able to. Okay, let's move to the next tip. Tip number 6. When you are building, you can change build mode. If you look in the middle of the screen, it says build mode default. That means when I'm placing something, I'm only placing one of it. But if I press R, I can zoop, which means that I can drag after having clicked once. So if I click once and then drag, I can place up to 10 foundations out. If I press again, I get the vertical build mode, which lets me build up. This will speed up your base building a lot. Tip number 7. This might be a little bit of a self-plug. That's not my intention, because I mean this, like, you should go to the resource that works. But if you feel like you're stuck or overwhelmed, don't be afraid to go to YouTube and look for guides, tutorials, tips, tricks, whatever you want to call it, that can help you. For example, the entire first episode of this Let's Play is essentially how to build a perfectly efficient starter factory that lets you send the space elevator the first time, and also have enough resources produced that you can just continue building for like phase 2 with no problem. So there's always resources out there that can help you. Don't be afraid to look for those resources. It doesn't make you less. It doesn't make you less of a gamer. It doesn't make you less of someone who enjoys this game or anything. We all help each other. I can admit that I've probably spent just as much time looking at YouTube videos about Satisfactory as I have done playing Satisfactory. So don't be afraid to do that. When you're out exploring, you might run across crashed pods. They're like literally looked like a crashed like freight pod from your hub, but with the base color. Like I have recolored mine with the basic like fix-it colors. And if you manage to open the pod using material, power, or sometimes you can just open it, or it's a combination of different like parts and power, you get a hard drive. And when you get the hard drive, you can come back here and scan the hard drive. I scan hard drive, takes 10 minutes, and in the hard drive library, I will then get an unlock. In here, I can pick alternate recipes, which are different ways of building the same parts that you already have access to. With that, you can then change up how you build factories. And most new players skip this step until they start getting pretty far into the game. My recommendation is start early to unlock your alternate recipes. And instead, like, you can come to YouTube and look at like which are the best early game alternate recipes and everything. But with that said, my recommendation is you look at what resources you have around you and you pick recipes based on that. And don't be afraid to rip apart your factory to rebuild parts that you weren't happy with in the first place. Okay, let's move on. While I said try to not be afraid of the spaghetti, tip number 9 is how to avoid the spaghetti. And that is by placing in. So this is my factory floor. This is where the machines are. But underneath that, I have another floor. This is my logistics floor. This is where I run all of my belts, and this is where I do all of this part. Meanwhile, I have a very clean production floor that lets me have a very nice overview of all the machines. I can always get to them so that I can change recipes or check, like, if one of them isn't running, I can troubleshoot and all that kind of stuff. So we can just make a very quick comparison. It's why I did this. So if we look down here, yes, that's a bit chaotic, but there is a very clear system to this. There is no big machines in the way, and I can very clearly just work on logistics down here. Now, up here, I did not do that, so I could show you what happens when you don't have a logistics floor. Even if I know how to run like belts like in straight lines, what you do end up with is a bit chaotic and it's very hard to follow. And with that said, we need to move to the final tip. Tip number 10. If you want to change up your color scheme, once you have unlocked the MAM or the Awesome Shop and Sync, you get access to your customizer. By pressing X, you can then bring this menu up. And I have unlocked these finishes. You can find them in the Awesome Shop, but what we're looking at here is the defaults. If you edit the color of the default, I can go in here, I can load preset, let's see, I can pick that, and let's pick water blue, and I select this. Same thing here, and I go for green, and I go for blue. Boom. You can see how all my machines, I don't have to go and paint them, they just change color. Simple as that. Now, this is not the color I want. I want my primary red and I want my primary gold. So I'm going to go back to those. But here's the thing. You can customize more than just your factory. You can customize yourself. By going into the hub, over here, you go into the hub, see how many times and days it was since you died. And then if you open here, and go in here, the character customization, and you can pick what you want to look like. Do you want a big ass bobblehead? Go for a big ass bobblehead. Alright. Then you can go for whatever you want. And of course, as a final bonus tip, you can actually flush the toilet. And this will flush anything. Anything. Including nuclear waste. Now, go forth, become the champion, become the, what is it? Employee of the planet, or whatever they call it. Like when you have employee of the year, when you finish the game, you get your golden mug. And tell me if there are any tips you have for new players. Completely new, first time they start up the game. What should they know? Keep it simple and put it in the comments. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you guys in the next video. Have a great one. Bye!